Welcome to The Turnaround Artists, a podcast about turning things around when they don't go our way. Each episode, we bring on interesting guests to tell stories of personal and professional turnarounds. And sometimes we just talk to each other like we're doing today. We're going to bring you some lighthearted fun today. Brian and I are going to talk about navigating the treacherous landscape of dating apps, what we went through, and how we ended up eventually crossing paths and finding each other. So it's a story about dating turnarounds. I'm going to let Brian start us off. Brian, hello. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to do this because we've been talking about this one since we started the podcast.
We have. We're finally getting around to it. We've been busy with other things.
Yeah.
So we each did episodes on our separations and the ends, the sad ends of our marriages. And we're going to pick up from there. And we'll start it off with you. And after your marriage ended, what year was that?
2014.
2014. So take us back. How did your dating life go after that?
Not very well. Until I met you.
Who was the first relationship you had after, and how did that go?
Well, I did the stereotypical rebound that happened to me. You meet someone, you're on the upswing. So that was fun. Mm-hmm. Distraction, but it was what it was. So when that finished, I had a lot of time with my kids. So I really focused on them. I'm always kept myself really, really busy. But then as time progressed, they get older and they want to spend less time with their parents, at least mine did. And I was kind of really looking to meet somebody again.
Okay, so now you're in the age of dating apps, right? So how did you go about posting yourself on your first dating app?
With massive anxiety, fear, and all my other relationships have been, as the young people tell us, meeting in the wild or dating in the wild. Mm-hmm. And that's where I had met people before. So now got about this other platform. So friend recommends whatever platform I started on. I got the free version. I made a really bad profile, or as you told me.
Right, let's talk about that. So you told me you're in sales, right? So you're always putting your best foot forward for potential clients. I was surprised when I first saw your profile that you didn't seem to put much effort into it. Why was that?
Oddly, I just like couldn't be bothered. It was, I didn't have a lot of great pictures of myself that were alone. I have this thing, by the way, pet peeve, when people put a picture in and they scratch out the other person that's in there. Drives me crazy. It's like, what, was that the last boyfriend? Like,
I've seen that. Like, I don't want to end up with my face blacked out. It's almost serial killer-esque.
Right. Or pictures with their
that
kid.
That was always a red flag for me.
Yeah, with their dog or their cat, whatever. But anyway, so I found some pictures of myself. I wanted to represent what I was all about. So there was one of me playing the bass. There was one on my bicycle. But I to be honest, until I met you, I wasn't a very smiley person at this point because I was kind of depressed. Mm-hmm. So all my pictures were like of me being angry. And I'm also not a great dresser. That's going to come out in this. So I'm wearing the wrong colors and don't know any better. And I just didn't spend a lot of time on it, which
right.
I don't know.
I think part of that is if you put effort into something and then you don't achieve the result you want, it hurts more than if you just go through the motions, right? So
that's a really great point because, all right, so I got this lame profile and I'm goofing around with a bunch of things. I always like testing marketing things. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, they've got a zillion filters, right? So at first I start off with like what you would expect. I'm in my early 50s, I guess, at this point. Put in the normal filters of being age appropriate, right? Probably 40 to 55.
Right. That's what I did, like 10 years span in either direction.
Correct.
Right.
So then I do that. And then sometimes I'd be like, oh, let me try 30 plus, or just do
you get a little greedy.
And then none of them had any success. Like what 30-year-old wants to date a 55-year-old guy? So I put in my filters, and then I had a strategy. Every morning before I went to work, I teach spinning early in the morning. I would zip through, and when you're on the free version, you only get 10 swipes, right, to the whatever the left or the right. I still don't even know. And I would start off really excited to swipe 10 times, close the app, go to work, go to do what I'm doing, and then really be focused on saying, I'm not opening that app till the end of the day, to not conflict. Well, at the end of the day, for the first month, I got even more depressed because nobody's writing back.
Yeah, that is heartbreaking. You come home all excited from work and hoping for a bite, and nothing comes back. That's very relatable and very discouraging, I'm sure. So did anyone ever write back? Like, what did you ever end up going on between 2015 and 2020? You were on and off the apps. Did you connect with anyone? What were those experiences like?
Sure. Well, in between, there was a couple two people would write me back that I had sent something out to, or one would approach me, but a couple of sentences or something like that. And then I'm not big into the communication in the app because it's kind of a pain for me.
Right.
So sometimes I would ask for a phone number because I wanted to talk, right? I'm a salesperson. And I think at our age, it's not inappropriate to want to hear the other person's voice to determine, is this someone you want to sit across the table with for even 45 minutes?
Right.
But I was shut down from ever getting a phone number, except for one person.
Okay.
So what is it about the phone number thing?
Well, from a female perspective, I think there's a fear of giving out a number before you've checked somebody out in person and at length, because of worried that they might stalk you or through your phone number find out personal information you don't want them to have just yet. So that's why I know your intentions were good. I can totally understand why women want to give out their number. So you got one woman to talk on the phone. How did that go?
Not well. Not well.
This is a theme.
Not well. No. So I went on 3 dates, and you were teasing me on the way home saying, well, was the first one a phone date? Like, that counts as a date? I'm like, well, for me, because there was no one else in place, that was a date. Because it lasted more than 30 minutes, but it had a really bad end. So I get a phone number, nice banter. Okay, get a phone number, and say, whatever evening. I believe it was a Thursday evening. So she calls me, pick up the phone. There's a lot of background noise going on. And I said, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I'm driving home. I'm commuting to Westchester, right? Now, there's 2 things wrong there. A, when someone's driving, I think they should be focused on driving, okay? Right. And I don't like to talk to people nor be spoken to when I'm driving. And I get nervous when I'm talking to someone because I feel like, gosh, forbid, something would happen that I would feel that's my fault.
Yeah.
Number 2 challenge with that, there's actually 3 challenges. Number 2, she lives outside the city. We never talked about that. That's not good, right? Because now
I'm guessing you put a filter on, the city limits.
I had like within 5 miles.
Okay.
Like I don't like going to the east side, let alone up to another county.
Now that I live on the west side, I understand why the east side is so daunting.
It's 30 minutes away. I can get quicker out to Long Island sometimes.
Yes.
So the number 3 problem is she's using her car as like her dating office. Like, please, can you give me some time? Like,
right, her attention is split. So that's right off the bat, not very respectful. So But the call went well at first, right?
I'm looking at my watch at one point, Marisa, and I'm like, wow, we're up to like 25, 30 minutes. And then things change. She says, oh, I'm getting close to home. And the implication was she was going to get home and we were going to continue this call because it was going so well. And I certainly was thinking, mindset-wise, this is going to turn to real. Well, that was wrong because as she's getting close, she said, what are you doing this weekend? Ooh, that sounds good. I said, oh, I got a busy weekend. In the mornings, I teach spinning. And as if she was speaking in silence, I knew the trains had just come off the track. Now, I didn't understand why, because anyone I've told in my life that I teach spinning is all over that.
Me included. That was an asset when I saw your profile because I knew you were fit. I knew you were a coach, a leader, So when she found out, how did she react?
Well, legendary.
Other than silence.
Legendary. Silence, and then a different change of voice. Mm-hmm. You're a spinning instructor. You teach spinning on the weekends? And I said, yeah, like jovially. It's in my profile, mm-hmm. right? I'm leading with that. Mm-hmm. And she says, oh my God, my cat just got out of the house. I need to chase my cat. Can I call you back? Click.
Oh, ouch.
Wow. Like 100 to 0. And because I was, to be honest, so desperate and this had went so well, like I sat by my phone and put a timer on and was like, oh, she's going to call back in 30 minutes. And then 30 minutes went by and she didn't.
Ugh, that's so heartbreaking. And I'm guessing it had something to do with you're working weekends. Maybe you need the money, whereas you were working because you enjoyed it so much. So that tells you, what her priorities are. So I'm sorry that didn't work out, and that kind of put you out of commission for a while.
That one hurt because it was obviously like I want money. If you're not making a certain amount of money, and I was like, I make plenty of money. I'm doing this on the side. That was kind of mean.
Yeah.
That was kind of mean. So I came off. And then I started another job. People in my job, younger people, they're just like, you should go back on. And then they looked at my profile and they were horrified. This is what you're putting out there. This is why you're not getting any dates. So they helped me a little. I let them help me a little. And then I started up again. And then I went on 2 days from there.
That's great. And I'm guessing if I say, how did they go? You're going to respond with not well. Just a wild guess. So tell me about the first date. I think it was somewhat of a bait and switch, which is like sort of a classic dating app experience.
Yeah. I put a filter in that I live on the Upper West Side. So nice person, swiped the correct way. And I got two going at the same time. So I'm bantering with both of them. Seems pretty cool.
You've diversified your portfolio.
Yeah, I've diversified my portfolio. I'm up to 2 now. So one's close by, fine. We make a daytime date, which I thought was pretty cool, on a weekend, literally 1 block away from my apartment, the Silver Moon Bakery, which we both love. Just went out of business.
Unfortunately,
so head into the date, quite excited, only a block from my apartment, so easy lift. And when I came into view of the people that were sitting outside, because she said she was going to be there before me, mm-hmm. the person that was in the pictures was not there. And I was very confused. And then I saw that I did recognize the person, not really, but honed in, someone waiting there alone, and begrudgingly sat down.
Right. And you were a gentleman, so you stuck with the date. But needless to say, that did not go very far. I always wonder what people are thinking when they lie on their profiles or misrepresent themselves on their profiles, because you're automatically starting the relationship off on the wrong foot and sending the message that I'm willing to deceive to get what I want. So that was always a red flag for me. And so I see why this date didn't last very long. What about the second one?
Well, second one. Have you ever, it's a nice banter, we agreed to actually have a glass of wine. My team, my young 20-something team, they said, make sure you only do a drink. Don't ever do drink and dinner.
Right. It took me a while to learn that.
Okay.
I made a big mistake once.
I'm sure you sat through torturous dinners.
Yes. All I took was wine, and then I was like, okay, starting with drinks. Starting with drinks.
So we said a drink. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever watched paint dry?
Well, I like to multitask, so no, but I get where you're going. I'm guessing there wasn't the natural banter that you and I had in our first date.
Not natural. How about no banter? Now, we're heading into COVID. It's just the beginning of COVID. So see the person is the actual person. That's good. If you could extend your arm, listeners can't see my arm, and you'd have to put an extension on like 10 feet because the handshake went 10 feet away. Now, we're COVID. So, okay, fine. We couldn't have sat any further away from each other.
Uh-huh.
I thought we should be like Boy in the Plastic Bubble sort of thing. We each had a glass of wine, and I'm pretty good at talking, and I'm pretty good at asking questions and getting someone to talk.
Hence the podcast.
Podcast. This was worse than talking to any teenager. So, what do you like to do for fun?
Nothing.
Okay, not sure where I can go with a follow-up from there. That was the conversation for an hour.
Okay.
It was really, really hard.
It's a good thing you didn't have a 3-course meal ahead of you.
My gosh. And then it was an hour and it was pretty clear there was going to be no second date. Certainly one I'm not interested in. Now I'm 0 for 3 and I am.
And COVID and the shutdown, the city shut down, dating is off the table.
So I either paused or deleted my account at that point. So
okay.
I'm out.
Okay.
So now, so I've been doing all the talking. So talk to me about your experience. So you're out in the wild or whatever. You got to go on the dating apps. What's it like for you?
Sure. So as I said in my episode Out of the Blue, I had a marriage that almost hit its 25th anniversary that ended quite suddenly. So I was without a life partner, living on my own in the city. I was very lonely. My only child still in the house was going to school on Long Island, and I really, really missed him. And just decided to go on the apps right away as a way to distract myself from the pain. And I didn't have a high bar at first because I just wanted companionship. So this was in 2022 in the summer.
Okay. Let me ask you, knowing you probably spent a lot of time on your profile.
Thank you. I did. I wanted to put my best foot forward, and obviously you want to attract as many interested dating prospects as possible. So I did try to make a profile I was proud of that represented me well.
You did.
Thank you. So I can relate to some of your experiences. I also found the apps to be very anxiety provoking. I had a couple of bait and switch experiences. The first one was, I think what they call it, catfish, where there was a very fit, good-looking guy, seemingly friendly smile. I swiped. I don't even remember which direction is the positive one. And he wrote me back that he lived in London. Okay, so I had put New York City as my radius as well. So that was odd.
Some would say geographically undesirable.
Yes. And he tried to sell me this like fitness supplement. So that was very discouraging. Now, the second bait and switch was a guy who wrote that, you can put what you're interested in on your homepage of the profile. And it was art galleries plus, right? And running. Okay, I love art. I love fitness. This is great. We have something in common. When I met him, he was nice enough. I asked him, how often he ran, and he told me he runs every Sunday after brunch. So I said, this doesn't seem like a fitness fanatic I was expecting. And then since he was so into art, apparently, I suggested we go on a date at the Whitney. And we were walking through an exhibit. I think it was Picasso. And he turned to me and said, "Oh, this is so cool. So art is both drawing and painting." So talk about misrepresentation. That was the end of that one.
I do remember you saying you did give your phone number to somebody, and you did have a phone conversation. Oh, right.
Thank you for reminding me. That's the one I wanted to talk about. That was pretty painful as well. So I did give my phone number to someone early on before I kind of understood the rules for self-protection. And I felt like I was on a job interview. Like he was like, so why are you looking for another romantic partner? So what interested you in me? So
wow.
And from the looks of his profile, I was like, I should be your boss. Come on. Anyway, apparently I didn't get the job because he never called me back or set up a date.
Did you a favor? Did you a favor?
Well, I believe that it's kind of a self-selecting process. Like if it's meant to be, it will be, which is what happened with us. So now we have to pivot to the turnaround part of our dating lives. I'm going to kick it back to you. You were discouraged from your last dating app experience during COVID. How did you get back on, and how did you end up swiping your beloved?
With you. So COVID, brutal in the dating world, obviously. 2022, I get a new job. Oddly, it was the only job I ever got in my life where I actually didn't meet anyone at the organization. And my first day was in the office was like,
it was all virtual.
Hi, you're my new boss. Nice to meet you. Okay, so that was weird. But with coolest thing, and I love my job, and they still do the same thing. Nicest thing they ever did, they give us a free subscription to Plum. Shout out to Plum. Like 40-something therapy sessions a year. Now, I'd never done therapy. So it took me till November to have the courage, even with free therapy offered, to say, I want to do this.
Right. And
I schedule a call in November.
Where were you, like, emotionally, mentally at this point?
Well, I was happy to have my job. My kids had pretty much like moved out and in with their mom because they were older at that point. I was not in a good place. Very lonely, very depressed. Had completely crawled into my own hole. Mm-hmm. So I was just my cats and I. That was it. Mm-hmm. That was my whole world. Mm-hmm. I had shrunk in, and I wasn't really doing things that were very positive for me. Well,
kudos to you for taking that first step. You'd never been in therapy, probably didn't know what to expect, but you knew you needed help. And it starts with that first request for help.
Yeah.
Thank God your company provided that as a free service. That's wonderful.
I'll thank them forever. So the way this app works is you don't really pick. How do you know? Mm-hmm. To be honest, I always knew I wanted a female therapist. So I just said female. That was my filter.
Mm-hmm.
And I dial into my first appointment, and it's with a woman, Kiana, who we will visit in our lives. And Kiana is 25, and she lives in South Africa. Doesn't matter the location, but obviously very young. But instantly, there was a connection of, I feel like this woman can help me.
That's wonderful. You got really lucky, because sometimes with dating, therapists aren't the right fit at first, and you might have to go through some before you find the right one.
Yeah. So she was so good. I remember crying to her. She let me cry. She encouraged it and helped me work on so many things, because not in a good personal place. I was great in a professional place, but I was really bad personal place. And that's November. See her once a week, religiously.
Mm-hmm.
And every week she gave me an assignment, mm-hmm. something she wanted me to do. She wanted me to go out. She wanted me to meet someone, anyone, go play more soccer, do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then in late February.
This is 2023 now. This is 2023, when I'm single. And
right. Yeah. You're still single.
I'm still single.
Right. November, December, January, February. So 4 months. She worked fast. And she said, "You know what, Brian, you're ready." Ready for what? "I need you to go on a date. I would rather have you pull my nails out." At that point. And I was like, "I'm not going to go on a date. Like, how am I going to, I'm not ready." She's like, "You're ready. Just go on a date. Have a drink with someone, have a glass of water with someone. Just go on a date. You're ready." Okay, guess I'll go to the dating apps again. And Hinge, I restarted my profile because it was, I guess, banked. Still not a good one. And I go on my first day, which I think was a Thursday or a Friday, and I swipe my 10, go about my day, and I come home, and there's 2 swipes back. And you were one of them.
Thank goodness. Who was the other one? Who was my competition?
Who was your competition? You had no competition. Well, and I have to be honest, when I swiped you, I thought you'd be selling me vitamins, to be honest, because
I thought I lived in London, and
well, you were just, it was too perfect for me. It was too, I said, you can ask any of my friends. I always felt like I should wind up with a tall, athletic woman from the Midwest. And I know you're half from New England and half from the Midwest, but you lived in the Midwest. So here you are from Chicago, a basketball player. I think you put on there that you were a college basketball player. Mm-hmm. You put down you're 5'9", even though you're 5'10".
Well, I'm 5'9.5", and Hinge didn't let you use halves. So I had to either round down or round up. So strategically, I'm thinking guys like to be taller, so I should round down. And so that's why I put 5'9". Now, that would increase my pool of interested prospects. Now, you did the opposite. You were 6'2". You're really 6'1".
I'm 6'1.5".
Okay, there you go. So you rounded up. You did the logical thing for a guy.
Right. And who told you, who pushed that, said I was 6'1"?
My son.
Your son.
Yes. Understandably, with you being a new man in my life, there's a bit of a rivalry between you and my son. And he wanted to make it very clear to me that you were indeed 6'1". Okay. My son is quite tall as well.
Yes, he is. And very handsome. And very handsome. Very handsome. So I found you accelerating. So it's you and this other woman. The other woman was, I call her, you get this when I say it, like I felt like she was from Miami. Mm-hmm. Bleach blonde. All I'll say is just...
some things weren't real. Yeah.
Something real, like I guess an initial kind of attraction. So you and I started banter. Her and I started banter. The banter with you, I've told you, I couldn't believe how interested you were in me.
And vice versa.
And the things that I was doing. You asked me about spinning. You thought that was cool. I was like, somebody in the world, that's the opposite of the other one. And cool stuff. And so it goes one day, and then into the next day, Miss Miami writes the next morning, I'm just not feeling it. I remember saying to you going, feeling what? Feeling what? We've had like 3 sentences about on a Hinge. And I'm like, okay. Now.
And then there was one.
And then there was one. And then there was
All
one.
it takes is one, though.
All it takes is one. Well, we're sitting here now. So great banter. I asked for your phone number and you said no.
Right.
Got it. And then this was, if I'm correct, this was Saturday. And.
Right. And we set a date for Sunday. And what happened Sunday morning?
Well, I played tons of soccer, and I was definitely coming under the weather, and I had a trip planned to go to South by Southwest for work on that Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I wake up Sunday, and I'm kind of sick, and I'm coughing a ton. So I get back from soccer. I'm like, let me see how soccer goes. I get back from soccer, and I have to be honest with you and say, for 2 reasons, this is not a good look on a first date. Like, it's so nice to meet you. And I don't want to get you sick if I'm sick. So I get back from soccer and kind of grudgingly, I'm like, hey, what I thought was Marisa, which turned out to be later, like, whoops, I do, hey, Marisa, just to let you know, I have a cough and, I'm maybe a little sick. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. Like, maybe we should reschedule. But I said that, like, I didn't want to.
Right. So, and I didn't want to reschedule either because we had such a great connection. And I said, I don't care as long as you're not contagious, as long as you don't have COVID. I think that's what I said. Let's get together. So fast forward, first date at the Smith. You were very gentlemanly, and you picked a place near my apartment, so I didn't have to go very far.
Correct.
So you arrived first. What did you think when I first walked in?
I'll give you that answer in a second, but on the banter, I asked you what your favorite color was.
Right.
You told me blue.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, this would be a fun question because we were so into fitness. I said, if you can only do one sport or fitness for the rest of your life, come to the date with what that is, and we'll try and guess each other's. I failed miserably.
Right. Well, I thought that was a very romantic gesture, very creative gesture. And so it just told me so much. It told me that you thought outside of the box. You were independently minded. You were willing to take risks. And you were playful.
And I do. I guess I'm asking for a pat on the back. But how did we initially resonate? What was the one thing I did when I swiped you and wrote off? You had said.
Oh, right. So a lot of times the chats start off, "Hello, how are you?" which is safe, but doesn't tell me much about you. When you sent me your first initial chat, it was very refreshing. I had put that I wanted to be asked out very directly. I don't like playing games, playing hard to get. Just tell it to me like it is. And you wrote, "Hi, Marisa," or "Hi, Marissa. I'd go out with you any day," with an exclamation point. And I thought, woo, this man's a risk taker. He wears his heart in his sleeve. So that was very refreshing.
Yeah. So just go for it, right?
Just go for it. What have you got to lose? Because if the person doesn't appreciate who you are, then it's not worth pursuing. Show them who you are.
Right.
And that's why you didn't take that you were a cycling instructor off your profile, because you didn't want to hide who you were.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to end up with someone who appreciated who you were.
Mm-hmm. So I head into the date, and for me, this is the Super Bowl, because you, in every way, your profile, what you were like, the banter especially, how interested you were in me, had never happened before, probably in my life. So I'm going into this going, I'm so excited, but I'm bracing myself that she's too good to be true. The person that walks in this room in 2 seconds, I'm going to go, oh my God, I won the lottery, or here we go again. And I'm probably never going back on this app.
So, okay, so keep going.
So I go over. Oh, by the way, I was nervous about my clothes because you dressed so well.
That's what I was going to say. Right. So one thing that added to your anxiety was you saw that I had some fashion sense on my profile.
A lot.
And you were very underconfident about your choice of clothing. And so you asked me what you should wear. And I just said, I'm wearing a nice shirt and jeans, and just trying to like lower your anxiety level. And you did fine. You had a button-down shirt and that was the first time I ironed a shirt in probably 5 years. Wow.
With starch. With starch. So I get dressed. Okay. She told me what to wear, so I can't be wrong. Mm-hmm. I wore white. Always a safe bet. Head to the Smith, get there way early. And by the way, I had packed a little gift bag for you, which you didn't know. And it was a white gift bag and had your name on it and had a card written inside. And it said, thank you so much for spending your evening with me. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. And that was written in a blue pencil, the turquoise blue pencil. And I put the pencil in, and I always give people like gum, but only after, because if you give someone gum up front, that's implying that maybe they have bad breath. And I just had that bag like tucked away. It's March, and I have that bag tucked away. So I'm only giving that bag if the date goes well.
Okay.
Right? But I want to rise up to the top of the list here because, again, if you're real when you walk in the door, I'm guessing you're probably in really great demand. So I got one shot here to make it happen. That was my thinking.
So I guess I did well. I performed well because I got the prize at the end of the show. But let's take it back to the date. There was one moment that was very surprising to the both of us.
Blew us both away.
I don't know why you asked this question. What question did you ask?
I said, when's your birthday? 7 minutes into the date. So backing up a second, I get there early. I talk to the bartender. I'm like, I'm going on this first date. I'm really nervous. Her name's Marisa. I'm Brian. I give my credit card because I don't ever want the credit card to hit the table. That's what I've done my whole life, especially on a first date. I don't want it to be any issue. I wait. You come in, you're very punctual, probably maybe 2 minutes behind. And you walk in, and it was like the sun was shining. Like you were beyond what I expected from your pictures. Like,
same with you. I, as I said, you undersold yourself in your profile. And so when I first saw you, there was an energy to you, a warmth and a spark. And from there, the night just went so smoothly.
Yes.
However, you did mispronounce my name, which I didn't hold against you because it's spelled like Marissa, but you felt terrible about it. So I was trying to reassure you. So that wasn't a big deal.
So for the listener to think, like, take it back to like John Travolta and him walking on the street with his white suit and he's all cool. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. She's like even beyond. And, you know, I go in and like, there's two wah-wahs. There's the first, you stick your hand out. I'm like, here we go with the handshake again. I'm like, what is this deal? And then as I'm taking the handshake, and I was going to make it very clear, I was going to give you a very gentle kiss on the left cheek. But as I'm grabbing your hand and I'm coming around to give you the kiss, I'm like, so nice to meet you, Marissa. And you're like, actually, it's Marisa. And I'm like smacking myself in the head, like, oh my God, all the points of differentiation I'm trying to give have just out the window. I shan't recover from this.
But you recovered very, very quickly. We're coming to the end of the episode. And needless to say, it was a good date.
It was a great date. I'll get to that question before because that was huge. I do not know. I've never, ever asked anyone on a date what their birthday was. And 7 minutes into the date, this energy came through my body. I don't even know why I said it. And I said, when's your birthday? And you said, looked at me. I said, not the year. When is your birthday? And you like to be direct. And you said, it's September 10th. And I said, take out your license. And you did. And we both put our license on the counter. And there was 2 people with the birthday of September 10th. And we looked at each other like, all right, there's something going on here. And the date progressed. You told me you had blocked an hour.
Yeah. And we went for 3.
3.5.
3.5.
3.5. And then it's 9:30 and you're like, school night. We both agree. Got to go to work in the morning. And I said, well, I'm certainly going to walk you home. Right. And you paused for a second, and you were going to let me. And then we walked home and I so wanted to hold your hand. I swear. And I was like, oh, that's, even though she likes forward, that's probably a little too forward, but I really wanted to. And then as we got onto 55th Street, I got up to your building and I knew I was going to take out the bag. And we stopped there and you said, this is me. And I said, okay. And then I took out my white bag and I said, well, this is for you.
And it was a really refreshing surprise. And then and there, I knew you were even more of a romantic than you came across initially. And I liked that.
So the close of that was I looked at you dead in the eye right before I gave you a very gentle kiss and went to my left. And I said, I want to make it very clear that I want to see you again as soon as possible.
And we did as soon as you got back from your trip. And then shortly thereafter, we both deleted our Hinge profiles. Mm-hmm. And the rest is history.
Yep. And we both came up with, you said Hinge is the app that needs to be deleted. Yes. And then you pitched another line.
I pitched another slogan for Hinge. What was your slogan? Which was Hinge, when you're seeking not just a body, but a soul.
And the other one, don't judge.
Oh, don't judge a Hinge date by its profile.
By the way, if the Hinge people are listening, I'm still pitching this idea because I want them to sponsor our podcast.
Yes. So we're out of time. And I think covered our dating turnarounds pretty thoroughly. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode of The Turnaround Artists.
Thank you for listening to The Turnaround Artists. We hope you got some helpful insights into how to make a tough situation better. If you have a turnaround story you'd like to share with us, send an email to hello@theturnaroundartists.org. Tune in next week and be sure to follow and like us on your favorite podcast platform. In the meantime, keep turning things around.